Gen Z can't afford to move out of their childhood bedrooms. And this is not theoretical. This is now the Wall Street Journal reporting on this.
When you actually think about it, it's so crazy to think that people with degrees cannot find jobs.
A degree is not worth the amount of debt that you're going to get from it. As somebody who has a business degree in marketing, I low-key do not feel like most business degrees are worth the amount of debt that you get into.
When I found out that you need a bachelor's degree to get a job at Enterprise.
Can someone please explain to me why this job market is so backwards? Because how do I go to college for 4 years, graduate with a bachelor's degree? I'm applying for entry-level jobs just to be told I don't have the experience.
As a Gen Zer myself, I sometimes question the legitimacy of a degree nowadays. When you are living in a generation where we are in the information age, where everything is pretty much online, so many different ways to make money, so many different ways to learn different skills and trades, it almost begs a question of, is a bachelor's degree really worth it in 2026? Now, me personally, I recently graduated from college last year and am using my degree to get the job that I'm in right now. But in a lot of people's cases, that's really not the reality of a lot of people right now, where some people are struggling to even get into their first roles, even with having a bachelor's degree. So we're finna be checking out some people's experience just to see how are people dealing with the job market just graduating with their bachelor's degree.
When you actually think about it, it's so crazy to think that people with degrees cannot find jobs. And if they do find a job, it's offering them $30K a year, no benefits. Whole time they have a master's. Like, what do you mean? And like, it's actually crazy when you think about these people, these companies, they don't want to pay you. They don't want to pay you. They don't want to hire you. They don't want to pay you. And again, we're like one of the most educated generations of all time, and none of us can find a job without having 10 years of experience required. Like, guys, this is scary, like very scary, especially considering how much weight even just a bachelor held 20 years ago.
20 years ago, back when it was the standard that if you wanted to get a good job, you had to go to college for 4 years and get a bachelor's degree. Now we're living in a day and age where people of like my age are making money online doing things like YouTube or starting their own businesses. With all the information that's out there, it almost just makes you think, what is really the case for a lot of people? You know, these jobs, even too, that they're offering, you know, that where they're requiring a bachelor's degree, sometimes the work that you're having to do isn't worth the amount of money you're getting paid. And sometimes you find people that are complaining that they're underpaid for the work that they're putting in because it's just simply not worth it.
A degree is not worth the amount of debt that you're going to get from it. As somebody who has a business degree in marketing, I low-key do not feel like most business degrees are worth the amount of debt that you get into. Like, I was very grateful. I went to a community college my first 2 years and then transferred to a 4-year, so I saved a bunch of money and was able to graduate debt-free. But that is not everybody's story, and the amount of money that a lot of these business schools charge to teach you business is crazy. Because I just feel like if you're not getting like a hard business degree, like accounting or something, it's not worth it to me. It's not worth it to me because most of my classes, I was just making PowerPoint. I was doing social media posts. I was kind of doing stuff I could learn on LinkedIn or that I could do myself by getting like a small internship or working at like a really small business in my area. Obviously, I wouldn't have a degree. That's what you're paying for is the paper, which that makes it worth it. But also, most of us ain't got the money to pay that much for a piece of paper and not even be guaranteed a job after graduation. With that said, go to community college if you can. Save some coin, baby. It's not gonna mess up your career trajectory. I work at Hulu. I went to a community college, transferred to a 4-year, and I'm still in the same places that people that went to Ivies in 4 years the whole time.
As you can see, she makes a very valid point talking about going to community college and doing those 2 years before going into a bachelor's degree and saving your money. Me personally, as myself, I actually went to community college before going into a university and saved thousands of dollars that I would have had to spend if I went to an actual university during that time. And they offer some of these same type of skills and same type of courses that you can end up using to transfer into a 4-year degree, where you might be sacrificing a little bit of that first year getting into a real college and being there freshman year. But if we're being honest, sometimes being a community college kind of disciplines you to prepare you for that 4-year degree to see like, okay, well, I did these 2 years to see if I want to continue on going on to get my bachelor's degree, getting the associates at first, or if you just go there for a year to at least get some courses in. That is also something to consider as well.
Can someone please explain to me why this job market is so backwards? Because how do I go to college for 4 years, graduate with a bachelor's degree? I'm applying for entry-level jobs just to be told I don't have the experience. What was the point of the degree?
You could be applying for these roles with your degree, and they will come up to you and tell you that, oh, well, you don't have the experience. You don't have 5 or 10 years, when it's like you are just coming out of college. So unless you were doing internships or maybe working at a grocery store or whatever you were doing to make money while in college to at least keep yourself afloat and keep money in your pockets, the fact that they are requiring the amounts of experience and the number of years of experience for some of these degree levels is honestly absurd and out of this world that they would require something like that. And most of these times, it doesn't even account for the type of pay that they're willing to give you. It's just something to really think about.
So annoyed, and I want everybody to be annoyed with me because I've been sitting here researching for hours on how to become an accountant because I have a bachelor's degree in business with a minor in Chinese. And why didn't anybody tell me as I was getting this bachelor's degree that it was just the beginning of everything? Like literally the only jobs that are hiring entry level with only a bachelor's degree are IT jobs, which my degree is not anything to do with IT, and healthcare jobs. And I can't be in healthcare, okay? You come in looking too sick to me, you're gonna turn around. We're not helping you here. Turn me into a damn zombie. To be a CPA in Virginia, you need 150 education hours. With a bachelor's degree, I only have 120. So I need my bachelor's plus 30 hours. I'm looking up how much it's going to cost to get that bachelor's degree. It's like $10,000 to get that, just the extra 30 hours that I need. And why the hell didn't y'all tell me this while I was in college? Then you have to pass a 4-part CPA exam getting over 75 hours. But you cannot take that unless you have the bachelor's degree plus 30 hours or a master's degree. Okay. Then you have to complete 1 year of relevant experience. So I have to get a job in accounting for a year before I have to pass an AICPA ethics course.
It sounds like a lot, and just in what they're requiring you to get, it almost means, a bachelor's degree is only just the first start. And depending on what career field it is, they might require you to go to secondary school. Like, say if you wanted to go into the medical area, you have to go to medical school. Or if you want to become a lawyer, you have to go to law school after already working 4 years to get your bachelor's degree, which is pushing back your time to really get into the career. And as you're getting into this, unless you have different scholarships or ways that these are paying off what you are going to school for, you're going to find yourself struggling to even pay back these loans and have so many loans. It will be challenging, and then it doesn't even guarantee that you can even get into it most of the time, because most of the times there's some people that will go through the law school, they'll go through their bachelor's degree and still have a hard time getting into their field because of different stipulations and others. So definitely something to consider whenever you're thinking about a bachelor's degree, for sure.
If you go to school for certain majors like poli-sci, healthcare, pre-med, pre-law, those majors require you to go finish the course.
The career is sold separately from the bachelor's. The bachelor's degree is just part one. To actually get a job, you need a master's, you need a doctorate, you need a PhD. The job and the career is sold separately from the bachelor's degrees. Degrees like psychology, degrees like biology, pre-med, pre-law, poli-sci with a pre-law concentration in the physics with a pre-med. Let's stop majoring in part one, majors in college, if one, we know we don't have the dedication to continue school or go and get that secondary degree, or if two, we don't have any type of financial support where we're going to live or means to support ourselves while we continue school to get these second degrees. A part one major is a major that you need an additional degree. Those degrees are not standalone degrees, and I feel like so many people major in these things and then get so sad and so numbed to find out they have to go back to school when they literally cannot afford to go back to school even if they wanted to, because they don't have any way to eat or support themselves or to even pay to continue their education. And I feel like we have to think about this more often. If you're getting a pre-med degree, why are you stopping with pre-med? The career is sold separately from the bachelor's.
She's right. And that's why I feel like when you are going into these jobs and looking at different things that you want to do and seeing, your qualifications with your bachelor's degree, it's definitely important to do your research before going into a certain career field, because some of these professions that you will want to go into, sometimes a degree isn't going to cut it. Sometimes you have to go back and get your master's degree. Sometimes you have to go back and go to a different law school or different other schools outside, or like even if you want to become a dentist, sometimes they'll require a bachelor's degree, yes, but you also have to go through those however many years going to dental school or whatever career field you decide to go into. So it's definitely important when you are thinking about somewhere that you want to go just within your getting a bachelor's, like it's honestly important to know the steps and to know that this is what you want to do, knowing that this is the amount of schooling I'm gonna have to go into, and this is what I'm going to be signing myself up for if I want to go into this profession.
There is no degree that is going to guarantee you a job after college anymore, which is very sad. When I was starting college in 2014, no matter what the degree was, a bachelor's degree was good enough on your resume to help get you in the door at an entry-level position. That is not the case anymore. It doesn't matter what degree you have. Bachelor's degrees are like the new bare minimum. That's like the new high school diploma. It's just required that you have a bachelor's degree. So you're saying that people have to go to school for 4 years, probably get into a ton of student loan debt to do that, just to be able to get an entry-level position that pays like $35,000. That is insane to me. I posted a video saying that I have a sociology degree and a graphic design degree. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, but I still work retail, making just $1 above minimum wage. Half of the comments were really rude, telling me I'm stupid, but then probably more than half of them were people who are in very similar positions to me that have their similar degrees or even have like better degrees. They have like STEM degrees. They have like nursing. They have like biochemistry, like all of these like more sought after like better degrees, and they are still having a hard time finding a job. We are spending so much money to go to these schools. These schools are making so much money off of us to give us these degrees. They're not helping us do anything. It's just not fair anymore. It's not fair. We can never get ahead. There's no way for us to like ever get ahead.
These employers, they're really looking at different people, and to some people, getting a bachelor's degree is almost like becoming so repetitive because almost everybody has one. There's a lot more people that have one than maybe back in the 90s when it was a little bit harder to obtain one. It's more people that have that bachelor's degree credential on there, where they're requiring maybe some more skills like that are added on that you would have to go on to achieve in order to at least be a valuable candidate. And it just really speaks to just how we're in a place where just the bachelor's degree is almost feels like it's almost losing its value. Feels like some of these jobs really don't care about the fact that you have a bachelor's degree. They just want, some of the most insane experience, but in a lot of these cases not paying the pay that they should be paying for some of these skills that they want you to have.
I really thought graduating with my bachelor's meant I had arrived. I thought I'll be walking into job offers making $25 or more. But the reality was I had just moved out, I had rent due, and I had no job. So my first job was a travel guide, and I thought I would like this job because I love traveling, but quickly realized as an introverted person, this was not a good fit. My next gig was working as a substitute teacher. I did like it, but they weren't paying me consistently, so I had to move on. Eventually, I found a more stable job working at a small private school on the west side. I love the staff, I love the kids, I had a steady paycheck, but deep down inside, it didn't feel right. Every day I was pouring into children who already had resources and access when I was thinking about the people in my community who didn't have nearly half the resources these kids did. That's when I decided to apply for grad school. I literally Googled free college counseling grad programs, and I found the one that paid my tuition in exchange for working on campus, and I got in. It felt like a fresh start, but grad school had its own surprises. I'll share what really happens in the next video.
If I knew what I know now about college, I wouldn't have got my degree. I even thought about dropping out my sophomore year, to be honest. And I have my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And while I think it's afforded me some really great opportunities, as I look back, one, I'm not even doing what I got my degree in, nor was I ever passionate about it once I started school. But also, two, I thought I needed a degree to make sure I had some kind of career. But as I get older and realize a lot of people don't have degrees, a lot of people really don't have degrees. It's really about who you know, and it's really about what you know and what you do in spite of having that technical degree. And especially now in the days of YouTube University, all these courses, programs, mentorships, you can pay somebody else. You can pay a company maybe a couple $100, a couple $1,000 to accelerate the timeline for you to do something specific. Because nobody sat down and told me, Zach, what do you want to do? Nobody sat down and really told me everything that's out there in the world. And I don't think it's anybody's job necessarily, because every day that passes, there's some kind of new job that's out there in the world. Like there's even prompt engineers for Chat GPT. But I thought that I had to get mechanical engineering out the way so that way that would open up my horizon, when in reality, all I had to do was go on Google. All I had to do was go on social media. So if you're 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, if you're a young adult who's trying to figure out what you want to do, don't just automatically go to college and sign up for 4 years of debt. Because I'm going to tell you now, as somebody with almost $30,000 in student loan debt, had I known what I know now, I wouldn't have got it, because in reality, I didn't need it. Like, I'm doing software sales right now, and I don't do anything involving my engineering degree. There are literally people on my team who have a high school degree, a high school diploma. Some people have associate's degree. Not everybody has a 4-year bachelor's, and I'm gonna need that to be normalized.
You heard it from him. A lot of people are out here in their career fields, and some of them don't even require a bachelor's degree. Some of them are even having people that have bachelor's degrees, but sometimes they're not even using their major that they went to school for, and they're working in careers outside of their major. And it really just speaks to just how, you know, a lot of people's expectations is that, oh, I'm going to get this degree, so this is the type of career field that I'm going to go into after I graduate college. But in most cases, like the career field that I'm in right now is absolutely different from what I went to school for. And in a good way, it is definitely something to really think about. But in another way, it's like, well, dang, it would have been cool to get something that was something that I went to school for. At the end of the day, a job's a job. So, I mean, if you able to find work in something else and it ends up being worth it in the end, then that's just how things are just have to be.
Realization I've had to come to terms with is that I went to school, worked full time, and got a full 4-year bachelor's degree, and it ain't do nothing for me. I feel like I just wasted my time. I feel like if you're not going to do anything like medical related or law or human resources, and even then, what's the point? What's the point?
As I said again, you know, sometimes it can feel like a waste of time. You know, you have something in specific that you go to school for, and a lot of the jobs that you try to go into don't even be hiring good for those positions. So you end up having to find something else. In a lot of people's cases, that's really the reality that they're living in, you know, to each his own.
So I'm looking for a part-time job. And as I'm looking for a part-time job, I see a job that pays $19 an hour. And as I'm trying to apply for it, they said bachelor's degree needed. So once again, I need a bachelor's degree to work a part-time job to make $19 an hour. How the do that make sense in America? And just imagine what the people are making with the bachelor's degrees. Are they even making anything? I'm not saying going to college is a waste of time, but it look like it's a waste of money, goddammit, because now I said, since I can't get that job, and right as I'm strolling, I see a pet sitter. And you don't need no type of degree for that whatsoever to be a pet sitter. And that is $18 an hour. And then I start thinking, what is the average cost of a bachelor's degree? And it ranges from $25,000 to $45,000. And it's on the higher end if you're doing out of school, if you're going out of state. So how the fuck do that make sense? And then I started looking at teacher salary, a teacher, and I love teachers. Teachers are some of the most important, not even some, teachers are the most important people in the world. And I looked at the average salary of a teacher, and like they get paid salary, but I broke it down. They're not making no more than $20 an hour. That's the most that some are making, $20 an hour for a teacher to wake up in the morning to go deal with somebody else's kids for 200 days out of the goddamn year.
Well, that's subjective, you know. I personally know some teachers and had to actually ask them how much they're making. And it really just depends on where you're living. I think the average salary I've seen out here, just within Texas alone, is about $65,000 that some teachers are making. But I mean, you know, some people, it fluctuates between just what type of schooling you're going into or what type of teaching you're going into. But when you are at a position where you are requiring a bachelor's degree and only going to pay people $19 an hour, it's absolutely a foolery. Because I was in when I was working when I was in college, I had a job working in a warehouse, and at the time, the pay that I was getting paid to work at a warehouse, and mind you, I didn't have a degree, and there was people in there that didn't have degrees, and the pay was around that $19-20 an hour. But it was a lot of work that you had to do for that $19-20 an hour, but for that, that was the pay. And to even think that some people with bachelor's degrees are making this much when they're telling you, oh, you get a bachelor's degree, you're going to come out of college making 50, 60, 70K plus, just depending on what you major in. And the fact that some people are having to deal with, you know, these low wages with the high cost of living continuing to rise, and the pay that some of these jobs are giving are not equaling out to how much it costs to live. It almost begs a question of like just how challenging it is to survive out here. You know, having a bachelor's degree, having these expectations of the money you're going to make, and those expectations or realities don't end up coming to pass.
Is it me, or do I feel like we've all been lied to growing up in elementary school, middle school, and high school? We were literally all taught that going to college, graduating will mean, you know, we would all get, you know, good jobs, good careers, a lot of money, and that's not the case now. It's hard to get a job. Jobs are not paying that much. Most jobs aren't paying that much. It's close to minimum wage. And employers do not care whether or not a candidate has a degree. It's not even guaranteed getting your master's will mean you'll be successful, have a good career. I mean, it does depend on what you do. But really, I feel like I've been, you know, bamboozled. I've been lied to, like literally. It's crazy.
And a lot of these jobs and a lot of these careers that some people go into with bachelor's degrees, it almost feels like a lie, you know. You know, I did think that at the time when I was kind of doing my job search and trying to figure out what type of career field I was going to end up going to, and just to see how much it ended up paying. It almost did kind of feel like a robbery. Like, dang, I spent 4 years going after and getting this degree just for it to not pay the money that I was looking for it to pay. And most of these cases, it just felt like I'd wasted my time and money for it. But to each his own, man. Y'all gotta let me know y'all's thoughts are down in the comment section. Do any of y'all have degrees, and has it been helping y'all get jobs in 2026? Has it been helping y'all just to have a degree to get into a career field? Y'all let me know down in the comment section. It's going to be in the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications. I'll see y'all in the comment section.